drop it, quit it.
I'm so over that.
Didn't finish, and it was one of a day. Leave it, drop it, quit it.
Give it up, babe.
We don't finish, it doesn't even matter.
You gonna finish that?
Of course not.
I'm done here.
Welcome to You Gonna Finish That. I'm Zila.
And I'm Adji.
And this is our podcast where we discuss our long list of unfinished business. Today's topic is going to be Catholicism. Yes. It's Lord's Day. It's Sunday. So it's pretty on point.
Yeah. When you texted me the other day and said we should talk about Catholicism, I was a little thrown because I'm like, of all the things that I imagine we talk about on this podcast, it wasn't one of them. So I'm interested to know why you chose this topic.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, one, I've been thinking about religion a lot. But two, I think a lot of people quit religion a lot. People are quitting religions all the time, picking them up. So I thought it would be a good topic and hopefully relatable in some ways. But yeah, I've been thinking about religion a lot because end of the year, it was a tough year. 2024, I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we're in a new
it was a throwaway
space.
for me as well.
It was a wash.
Yeah.
Some years are just wash years. So, I have recently been connecting with God. And honestly, I've been such an atheist for the past 8 to 10 years that I feel kind of cringy even talking about it. But might just be my shit. But I just thought wow, I really did quit being religious, and then now I'm picking it back up. So I thought it'd be a good topic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's get into where that began, where the religious journey began for you.
Sure.
And us, I guess.
So, right. We both grew up Catholic because our mom is Filipina. And did you know it is the only, it's super Catholic in the Philippines, if anybody did not know. We are one of 2 countries that have not legalized divorce. The first being the Vatican. It's just the Vatican and the Philippines, the whole wide world. So I think we win at being Catholic.
I think we are just a bit more...
We ate that up. I don't think it's a good thing, honestly. And I'm also I don't want to offend anybody.
Yes, I feel like it's important. Broad disclaimer. Yeah. Also, haven't really fleshed out all of my thoughts on this. So if something comes out and it's we're all working through it. No judgments to how anyone worships, what they believe in.
But judgments.
Yeah. There will be certainly some judgments.
Because I'm going to be very honest. I don't want to offend anyone, but I'm not going to hold back because Catholicism.
It has its
faults.
faults.
The point of this podcast is it's my podcast, and I'm going to talk about my thing. So,
right.
Yeah. So,
catch it.
Catholicism. Yes, we grew up Catholic. Message. We grew up Catholic. Our mom. It was more so our grandmother. That really. Grandmothers. Extended grandmother family, because this is how Filipinos work, that really pressed Catholicism and us going to church. We had a grandmother who would, we would go to church with every Sunday. Lola Shawnee?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not our regular Lola.
Not too much on my Lola.
She literally always tells the story. She has 8 sisters. She was like, they all went to the Catholic school. I begged to go to the public school because I did not want to go to church every day. Yeah. She is very openly, she's with the shits in terms of Jesus. I remember when we shared a room, I hated how my shelf was girly pink elephant, girly jewelry box, girly. Me and Lola shared a room at one point.
What? This is crazy.
You had your own room. Yeah. And I had a really cute shelf with pink elephant and my Nancy Drew books and all this stuff. And then at the bottom it was Jesus, white blue-eyed Jesus, a scary looking crucifix. It made me so mad that it just didn't flow. But So she had the stuff. She wasn't gonna. No one was gonna say that she wasn't.
She prayed every day. She had the little like saint cards.
Oh, for sure, the rosary. Yeah. She was doing it. She was doing it, but comparatively, she was the least in her family. It trickled down because, my mom definitely was only doing it out of familial obligation and probably some like internalized guilt and making sure that we didn't go to hell just in case. Yeah. But respect on her name and everything. But yeah, essentially, we grew up Catholic in that way. Our father, no. He was very much always saying things like magic man in the sky. Do you remember that? I
remember I asked him, and this is funny, I tell my friends this. I was like, what do you, like, do you believe in, like, are you Catholic? Like, what do you believe in? And he was like, that's personal. And I left at that. I was like, I'd be like 8, maybe, I don't know.
That's so funny.
And I was like, true, like, fair. I didn't ask any follow-up questions. He said, that's so none of your fucking business.
Yeah, period. He, for what I remember of him, he always said, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual.
That's how,
Yeah, I respect that,
That's where I am.
Right. So, but Catholicism was very much around. Like, we were praying every night before bed, shit like that.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, we were. And then I began to do it on my own. So because I've been an atheist for like a long time now, maybe a decade, I forgot that I actually used to have like a connection to, God, or what I thought was God. And I used to pray every night. I would pray in times of stress, and I fell off a little bit because like once we didn't see like the grandma who took us to church every Sunday as much, we, stopped being as formally religious. But then I remember when I went into I was going to high school, I had decided to go to a Catholic high school. And so in 8th grade, I was like, oh, shit, I'm going to go to a Catholic high school. I'm going to become such a good Catholic. Like, I'm going to do the prayers. I'm going to do the...
Interesting.
I had this mentality of like, oh, this is it. Like, I'm going to be really good at this. I'm like going to get back to it. So then I went to Catholic high school and we started like learning about Catholicism. And I was just like, I think y'all made this up. Like, I was a little bit like, y'all made this up. Because first of all, it was a Catholic girls' school, like an all-girls school. So, there's like women in leadership everywhere you look. We had barely any male teachers. But like it was also like we were not allowed to be priests. Like, I was just like, how are we preaching like, it was very white. So it was very much giving like girls power, feminism, all this stuff. And I'm like, how are we balancing that? And then, so we started to like literally, took a class called Old Testament, took a class called New Testament, like going through the books. And it was like, clearly these are stories. They're to me, it's like, clearly these are stories meant to teach us something.
Right.
These are made up things meant to teach us lessons. Which is how I thought about it growing up. Because why would I believe there was an actual man named Adam and Eve and they ate the apple? That's just a lesson. So one, you're reading, like, what was I supposed to learn from that? Not the best lessons. And number 2, I remember taking New Testament class. And, like, there are 4 books in the New Testament. From what I remember, it's been a minute.
Yeah, it is,
But they're all written by different
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John,
Right, who met Jesus and experienced his whatever.
Not all of them, no.
That's my thing, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Let's get into it.
It was such a point.
Oh, wait, first, sorry, just to chime in real quick.
What do you know of it? Yeah,
it's interesting to hear you talk about this. We've not really talked about this. I'm realizing.
No.
I have such a different memory because I'm like in 2 years behind. And there was a very short period of time in our very early years where we were like in church, like in it. Yeah. And I didn't have memory for like some of it, like. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like just because I was like 3.
Right.
So
fair.
you saying like we prayed every night before bed, like I have not thought about that until this moment.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, damn, like we definitely did. Like there was like a lullaby, a prayer, and, like we would read. You know, there's a whole routine involved. There
was, really, really good stability. That was pretty cute. But yeah, we did, and I forgot about that as well.
Don't remember that you shared a room with Lola. Like that's like kind of shocking.
Yeah, there was 2 beds. That? It was a long time, and you don't remember because I think when she left, you like begged to like take the room too. So we shared a room at one point too because you could not be alone. Yes,
that was after she left. Because I was like, there's a bed here. Like, let's use this as the playroom.
Right. And I was like, everybody get out of my space. But
that's funny. Okay, sorry to like derail us. I just wanted to acknowledge that like I don't have memory of this.
Yeah, very interesting. Because religion, when you're being, I won't say forced into it, but when you're being indoctrinated.
Yeah. That's the word that came to mind too, you know?
But you just do it. You just go through the motions and you do it. And then you don't even realize, like, eventually that's just, like, shit you believe, you know?
Yeah. So keep going because I want to talk about how, like, the
New Testament. Okay. So in New Testament class, we were learning about the 4 authors.
Yeah.
And one of the topics of class was, how do we know that the story of Jesus is a real, true story? And number 1, I was like, it is, you know? And number 2, it was like, I remember one of the points was, well, if all the 4 authors wrote the exact same story and with all the same details, wouldn't that be a little suspicious? Like, that was one of their, like, leading arguments.
Wait. So they were saying that it happened because they all accounted for the same thing? Or it would be suspicious?
They all had different stories.
And you're saying, like, if they did have all the same thing, it would be suspicious. But, like, everyone has a different perspective, and that's why they're different?
Right. Like, they all have different facts and discrepancies.
Yeah.
No, and what I'm saying is I thought it was a silly argument. Like, not a silly argument, but a weak argument. Like...
What was the argument that was being made? Sorry, I'm not following.
Okay. The argument is that, let's say like Luke told one story that had a bunch of different details about Jesus.
Yeah.
John told another.
Yeah.
Different. And the teacher would go, and you know, naturally you're like, well, all these stories are kind of different. I don't think this is a real story. And she would go, well, if it was all the exact same, wouldn't that be a little suspicious? It probably... And I was like, I guess, you know. But then you find out that like 3 of the authors are based on one of those authors.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, well, wait, what? Like, I came here to be convinced, you know. I was ready. I was
100%.
So ready to be convinced that this was the religion. And my faith just wavered completely when we got into the weeds.
Yeah.
Because, so it was like the actual getting into the Bible that threw me off. It was the like discrepancy of morals and values versus what we actually practiced. And then it was just a straight up like incredible dissing of other religions. Like we had a class called World Religion, which... Shocker, was heavily skewed against like Islam. Like for when we learned about Islam, we watched that movie. There is a movie out there with Sally Fields from Mrs. Doubtfire and Alfred Molina, Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. And in that movie, they're married, and Doc Ock is like, Muslim. I can't remember from what country.
Okay.
But yeah, he's Muslim. And they're married in America, and they have a beautiful, happy child and daughter, and they go to his home country in the Middle East.
And Sally Field is like Irish Catholic?
Yeah, she's just like, she's just a white lady.
Okay.
That was the point, right?
Okay.
And then she goes to his home country to visit. He traps her there and starts to beat her and become very patriarchal and makes her embrace Islam.
They showed you this movie in school?
Yes. And she has to run away from him. And the end of the movie is a shot of her approaching the American embassy and the flag like waving. And that was how we learned about Islam.
What year did this movie come out? Is this like post 9/11?
I want to say early 2000s.
Okay.
Maybe late 90s, early 2000s.
Like you don't hear of such strong overt propaganda like that these days.
You don't. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
you do,
but
but
they
you
do
don't,
make it today. But it definitely wasn't starring like
but
big names like Sally Field or Alpha Molina.
Yeah. Like Doc Ock.
And so, Doc Ock, what go on? So
yeah.
That even then I was not a political person, but even then I was like, that was a little bit skewed.
Yeah.
That wasn't so I was just like totally like over it by the time I graduated Catholic school. And I was just like, I don't know if this shit is for me. And then I got to college and kind of just didn't connect with anything religious at all. And so, long story to conclude what's going on now is, I've been through a lot. And when you're going through hard times, you kind of just turn to, you start to, wonder, like, you're not in control, So, like, is there something in control here? And I have a lot of control issues. And so spirituality is kind of helping me to release some of that control. Like maybe I don't believe in, white, blue-eyed Jesus, but maybe I don't believe in God as, an entity. But I think like the idea of a higher power, I think I do believe in. And I'm trying to connect with in some way and like envision what that means to me. And like, I brought a prop. Because this book, and I...
Wait. Can I please?
I don't.
Wait, can I please get in? What?
You go next.
Before we get too far.
No.
I just feel like before we move on, I would be kind of whiplash to be going back and forth.
So let's hear about your experience. So, because, sorry. Totally. I'm sorry.
All good. Because I want to get to that book because I have some thoughts.
Right. Let's converge. I thought maybe we would, let's. Yeah. So how did you
start out? I said, my experience is a little different. Like, we had similar life experiences, but my perception was very different because I was younger.
Real.
I, remember going to church. I don't ever remember having, ooh, yay, it's time to go to church. It was always such a miserable experience for me. Right. Because I also feel like no one really did the work of, here's why we do this, and here's, what you're supposed to gain from it. Because I would just show up and, there would be a guy talking. I never really understood. I don't know if it was, it's probably because I was 3, right? I don't know what people are saying, but I have a lot of energy right now, and I have to be quiet, and this is unpleasant. My biggest memory.
Can I tell you a quick story I remember about you in church? I'll never forget this. I think about this all the time. I don't know why I never mentioned. It's because it's so stupid and random. We were sitting in a pew, and we were kneeling as you're supposed to do, and in front of you, there's a lady who's kneeling, and her heels. Her heels are poking out in front of you, and you're touching them. You're stroking them.
You're lying.
And you poke me. You poke me so excited. You're like, look, she can't tell. You did that for so long, and I was, I don't know if it was just because I was such an anxious I was like, stop. You're she can't tell.
I was so bored.
I remember how bored you were.
I remember thinking every time, oh God, we got to go to the boring place, everyone's the songs aren't hitting.
Awful.
What's going on here?
Catholics lose for music.
Now they do. I have been to church. Where did I go? I've been to a church recently in the Philippines. Mm-hmm. Songs were better. The music has changed.
They're trying to step it up, but for years. They would refuse.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that new Pope guy.
I think it does depend on what church you go to. I don't think it's all the same. Like, lyrics are the same, but the arrangements are not all the same, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know
that's
that for a fact, but...
Okay. But continue.
Yeah, so... I remember being there. I remember my favorite part was playing with the purse hooks on the back of the pews, because they were like buttons. Yeah. Like, you like clicked it, but I would always be reprimanded because they're loud. They're like metal, like spring-loaded things, and it'd go clank, clank, like when you like... But I just love pressing the button.
Yeah, you hated church.
I really did. And there was... And I want your take on this, because I vaguely remember, like... I don't know if it's considered Sunday school, but they would take the children at some point during the mass, and we would go to like the back and they would like teach us something. I don't remember the content of that whatsoever, but I also remember feeling scared. But I don't. Yeah. Were you there?
No, I was there. I was there. Yeah.
Did they separate us?
It was a little bit. They separated by age group maybe.
Because I'm like, I don't remember you. I feel like I felt. My feeling when I remember this in my chest is like, I'm uncomfortable because I don't know anyone here. But I'm like, why did I feel that way if you were there? So I'm like wondering if... That's
a good point. Maybe they separated us by age group.
I don't know.
But we weren't that far apart. Only like a year and something.
Yeah. So I don't know. But they didn't like that. And then I remember like growing up, like I had so many questions and I would ask Ma. I feel like she was really good about like answering the questions. I'd be like, who is Jesus? Like I remember like I got to an age where I'm like, okay, like I'm trying to make sense of this. And I was like, who is Jesus? Well, actually, before I get into that, from the age of like, from daycare to the first time I went to kindergarten, because I was held back. The first time I went to kindergarten was at a Catholic school. I was attached to the church that we went to.
Right. Yes.
And I remember learning about, like they would read us Bible stories, but like these are stories that were, I think, altered for children, but I don't know for a fact. But I remember learning about the devil, which, having gone to Catholic school in high school, like that's not a part of the Bible. Like, you know, like
the devil.
Like
he's not in there.
Like, in the red horn kind of.
Oh, yeah, like, yeah.
There's Lucifer, but the devil as like this red horned figure and like this fiery hell imagery like comes from like somewhere else, like Dante's Inferno. But I remember learning about that. So I'm like, that's weird, because like as an adult, I know that's not part of it. And then I also remember learning about, this is my first memory of questioning religion. Is in the same, like, I was getting kindergarten, they like read us a story. It was a Noah's Ark story, and they were like, and God made a covenant, and they explained the covenant is like a promise with Noah that every time it rains there will be a rainbow. Like that's like the promise. And like I don't know if that's a part of the actual Bible, but I remember being like, I've seen it rain a lot and I've never seen a rainbow. You know? I'm like, and if this God fellow is like making promises he can't keep, like, I don't know. And
it's just like so early on.
It's like, why lie? You
why
know?
lie? Kids are kind of perceptive.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like that's an easy, disprovable one. Like, that made me question it so early. Like, you didn't have to say that.
Like, off jump, I know you're lying.
Yeah, I'm like, I haven't seen rainbow yet. It's rainy all the time here. So yeah, that's kind of like my first memory of being like, I don't know about this. It just like made me a little doubtful.
As a story, like just as a story, just keep it at that. Like, I don't know. Anyway, sorry, continue. No,
and then I remember like starting to be like, okay, like I'm trying to figure this out, because they're saying that Jesus is God and they're both 100%, and I'm confused. So I was like, talking to Mom, I was like, oh, who is Jesus? Like, who was that? And because they also, like, when you go to church, they're talking about Joseph, and they're talking about Jebediah, and
a lot of big names.
And I'm like, okay, but who? Like, if you just were going to give me a synopsis, like, who's important here? Because this Paul guy's got a lot of letters or something. I don't know what's going on. So I was like, oh, who is Jesus? And she was like, Jesus was a carpenter. No. Sorry. So she was like, Jesus is God, whatever. I'm like, okay, but like who, like if Jesus is the man version, like who is that? And she was like, he's a carpenter. And I'm like, I don't know what carpenter is. I'm thinking like, oh, they make carpets. It's like, part of this is because I think I was a little dumb as a kid. But she was like, he's a carpenter. And I was like, yeah. I was like, what is a carpenter? She's like, you know, they like build stuff. They like make like stairs. And I like was like, oh, that makes sense. Cause I'm like, he built stairs to get to heaven. I didn't voice that part so she could correct me. Like, I'm like, got it. Like, that makes sense. So like for a long time, I'm like, okay, yeah, Jesus like built his way to heaven. Like, and then, then I remember being like, what is God? Like, if God isn't like a person, what is it? And she said, God is a being. But I thought she said bean, like a lima bean. So the whole time I'm thinking like, I'm picturing God as like this giant, like stars in the shape of a lima bean almost. And that was my idea of God for years.
That's crazy.
And it just kind of like made it a bit silly to me. I'm like,
yeah, it's all
the big bean in the sky. You know?
That's crazy.
I've never not believed in a higher power. Like, I've always been someone who's like, I believe in a higher power. But the facts of Catholicism as a religion have always thrown me off. So like you said, similar to you, I also, for high school, went to a Catholic school. But I had no, it seemed like you were excited to get into the...
Yeah.
I had nothing... Like, that was kind of a secondary fact to me. That I was going to a Catholic school. And then when I got there, I was like, and I had I had not questioned, like, really whether or not it made sense. It all made sense. I knew people believe one thing, people believe another, but I was like, okay, like, clearly, like, they would have patched up all the plot holes by now. And then they started teaching about it, and I was like, oh, like, I think I said one day I was participating in religion class one day, and they were asking about the sacrament, like the communion. And I was like, oh yeah, like the bread represents the body and the wine represents the blood. And she said, no, Catholics believe that this is the actual body and the actual blood of Jesus Christ in the sacrament. Like, it becomes that. And I think I was like, ew. I don't remember if I said that out loud, but I was like, I don't think that, like, one, I'm like, that's silly shit. No disrespect. I shouldn't say that. Silly. But it's like,
why?
I'm like, silly. I can physically see that this is not that. Like, if it represents that, like that, I'm like, I 100%, like, I can get behind it. Which, 100%. That is, I think, the difference between Catholicism. Like, I think other, like, Christian religions don't actually believe that is the body and the blood of Christ. But to me, it was like, one, okay, second, that's nasty. You know?
It's disgusting.
Like, if you actually believe this is body and blood and you're just eating and drinking it, like, cannibalism. I don't know. That part I don't.
Very strange.
I don't know. Again, no offense. I just, like, for me, it was a big turnoff.
Right. I truly wonder, like, why it can't evolve. I mean, there are many factors, powerful societal factors that we just won't get into on this podcast, but...
You know what it is? It's the infallibility of the Pope. Like, the Pope is infallible. So, like, for you to acknowledge that something has changed, you'd be kind of saying, like, that guy was full of shit. And that is, like, really against it as well.
That's why there are so many offshoots of Christianity, because... Some people don't want to drink blood, you know?
Yeah.
Some people just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And I get it.
Yeah.
But it was fine the whole time, so it's just...
And then there's the whole, like, there's the political aspect of it. Like, we had classes, so we had I will say our world religion class, like, it was, like, let's be clear, like, this is the one true religion, but, like, here are the other ones. It wasn't disrespectful like yours, at least in my memory. And I know I was very, like, by the time I got to that class, I was very, like, what's going on here? I also remember, like, maybe my first week of school, the kid was asking, like, if I was, like, confirmed. Like, confirmation is, like, one of the sacraments or stages of, you know. And I was like, no, I was not. And he was like, oh, why not? this is some guy, this random student.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like, I just, like, don't go to church that much. Like, and he was like, well, you should do it. You should come to my church and do it. It'll take, like, a couple weeks. And I'm like, a couple weeks of going, like...
Do you know that new Call of Duty just came out?
Like, no. I got places to be.
Yeah.
But, no, yeah, I was kind of thrown.
Actually, it's funny because I do remember getting... Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just saying, I was kind of thrown at how invested he was in my religious...
Yeah, and it was... well, I remember I did get First Communion. I think you did too.
You did. No,
I got mine
you
in
did.
the Philippines. Yeah, I did get communion.
I did not.
And I was so excited. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was so excited about that. Another aspect of me wanting to do shit was the being left out part. Like, definitely I hated when everyone would go to get their body. And then I would have to stay in the pew because I didn't have my communion. And I got it done in the Philippines. Like when we went to the Philippines, they literally sent me to a convent every day for like 2 weeks. And I got taught by this really sweet nun. Do I remember anything I learned? No. But do I remember that she gave me the best juice ever? 8 o'clock mango. So good. And I got my communion. I did my first confession with a priest who did not speak English. Just mumbled. It was just mumbles.
You were mumbling or he was mumbling?
He was a mumbler. He was not only a non-English speaker, he was also a mumbler. And I remember I told him my sins, which was fighting with my brother. Literally the only thing I could think of because like...
Yeah, I'm still a child. Yeah,
I think I made that up because we were pretty on good terms like this, but I just wanted to have something to confess. And then, I did my communion there and never got confirmed. And then, when I went to high school, there were definitely...
I thought you did get confirmed.
No.
Oh.
I wouldn't even know what that would entail. But, there were definitely girls in high school who were, like, into it. There was, like, a whole, like... It wasn't called church club. It was called, like... I wanted to say Ministry of Magic, but that's not it either.
Campus Ministry.
It was called... Yes! How did you remember?
We had one.
Okay, yes. Yeah, they had that, and I just, like, had no interest. It just, like, was not my bag. At that point, I had learned too much. So, yeah. But have you been connecting with spirituality now at all?
Yeah, so not so long ago, we had Bible study.
Oh, okay.
We did that for
You started a
weeks.
Bible study.
Yeah. I think Troy had, like, some sort of, like, goal to be, like, more connected. I kind of was, like, more of a book club angle. Because, again, I think that, and we were strictly New Testament. That's the thing also I want to kind of get into a little bit before I move on to that story.
Yeah, please do.
Old Testament God and New Testament God, different people. Old Testament God is spiteful, is like, he literally like was like, I gotta wipe this shit clean. Noah, get on that ark. Take 2 of each. Fresh start. And I just like feel like it's interesting to think of like that's not someone that I, this anger, it doesn't resonate. It's not something that I'm like, that's for someone I want to worship. Anyway, we did a Bible study for a couple weeks and just kind of like.
So like, why did God get good? Because of Jesus?
Huh? Why?
Why did he become a different?
I think it was like more of a sign of the times kind of thing. Like they're like, let's make Jesus all about love, and like God's like, okay. You're atoning for everyone's sins, kind of thing.
Okay. So yeah, you guys were doing Bible club.
Yeah, Bible study. So, but we, it was basically 1 hour a week, picked a verse. She had like a devotional that like would give a verse for whatever given day.
Nice.
And then we would read the verse, talk about what we thought it meant, like interpret it, and then application, like how does that apply to our lives? I actually really liked doing that.
That's really nice.
Like,
yeah.
Again, if we take did this happen or not out of it, like.
Yes.
Stories, you learn shit like from all stories, like
yes.
So let's talk about what we mean here, and I really like that.
Up until a couple months ago, honestly, maybe like 6 to 8 months ago, I probably would have, I think I did scoff at the idea of like a Bible study. Because I have just been such a fucking atheist. Like, it's truly kind of interesting.
Do you feel like you were a judgmental atheist? Like
I wasn't an asshole. I don't think I was an asshole. But internally, I just felt like I was right. And I was inside an asshole maybe. And just, I think I have clung to how religion has been used to justify such awful, awful, awful things. And I have clung to that, and I have not really engaged with seeing the other side of spirituality. Because I believe that there is so much that needs to be addressed here on earth that is both joyful and, not filled with lies. Because, I guess I've been resentful of how Catholicism has fed me so many lies and how much I wanted to be connected to God and a good Catholic, and then realizing that like was just some facade that had a purpose to make me into, a servant and submissive and like all these things. So, I had a personal and a societal like aversion to it. But now I have connected with many more people last year, new friends who are like spiritual in different religions, African religions, some who are Christian, but like not assholes and not trying to preach things onto me. And I have, gone through some things that I want, to like release and have like a different perspective and release control. And that requires a level of spirituality. And so I've been like really, connecting with that. And can I bring in my book now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, our book.
So, ew. It looks like we're promoting it. I normally don't read books. No, I'm just kidding. I normally don't think New York Times bestsellers mean anything.
It's actually pretty easy to get.
I do know that.
Sorry, I wouldn't say easy to get, but like the threshold is a lot lower than you think.
Okay.
Because people don't buy books. So like, how many do you really need to sell to be a bestseller,
That's so true. Should we write a book? Anyway, so
I'm already on it. I don't know about you.
Podcasts into So we got gifted these books for Christmas. It's Black Liturgies by Arthur Riley. I love it. Oh. I really, really love it. And basically the author writes in the style of Christian liturgies, which I feel like because I grew up so Catholic, the style of writing resonates with me in a way that other like religious texts might not. But rather than writing things that are so skewed toward like whiteness and all of the isms, these are like for Black queer people to resonate with, to pray with, to forgive with. And I just think the writing is beautiful. And so, I've been going through the book and I've just been praying on my own and just feel more open to the idea of a higher power and spirituality than I have in a really, really long time. And I think it has only brought good things into my life. And I kind of cringe at like people being like, well, I prayed, so I got this. The reason that good things are happening to me is because God gave them to me. I cringe at that because like, what does that mean for people who have so little?
Yeah.
Like, are they not praying? Are they not, they're just not being good enough like you?
I actually had this conversation yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you say?
I basically was saying like, that's like, I usually pray, like, usually when I'm praying, it's like a prayer just throwing out for others. Like, I feel like to pray, like, I don't like to think of God as some being that has control over human behavior, because I cannot rationalize having, like, there being an unjust God and all of the atrocities that exist on this earth.
Right. Exactly.
Because, like, I just can't rationalize having both, right? Like, 250 years of slavery, ongoing, like, suffering in the world, you know, wars, genocide.
Right.
Like,
the wildfires, like,
yeah.
So I definitely don't think that God controls human behavior, but I do think that, like, there is a guiding force that is bigger than ourselves. That okay, here's how I'm trying to rationalize it as, like, my atheist brain. It's like, me as one person cannot handle all of the atrocities of this world. Like, I do not have control over all of the bad shit that happens. And it is a lot for a person to process, even the things that are happening to oneself, let alone the things that are happening to everyone else. If I try to just handle that internally, I will suffer. The only way that I can continue to move and not be debilitated and not feel helpless is through releasing that to a higher power that can resolve these things, and trust that something else outside of myself will resolve these things, and I will do what I can to be part of that. But for me to, and I feel like throughout my life, not to be like, I'm an empath, but I take on things very heavily. Yeah. And it becomes debilitating, and it actually manifests in me not being my best self because I'm so angry and I'm so sad and I'm just raging. And, like, there's, like, even a part in this book about rage, and it just kind of eats at you. And so having spirituality re-enter my life is me attempting to, release some of that rage into knowing that, like, just because I can't control it doesn't mean nothing is at play and working on the atrocities of this world. Yeah. So, yeah.
What I do like about, like, thinking about all of the Christian beliefs that we were raised with, this idea that, like, God is in all of us. And I think of it, like, I like the idea that we're all interconnected. Yeah. Because it to me underscores this idea that, like, we actually have a moral obligation to have a sense of community with everyone.
Yes.
And the more fragmented that becomes, it's like we're losing part of ourselves spiritually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have this book. Grateful for the gift. I think it's such a sweet gift. I didn't notice, like, because I think I mentioned this on a previous episode, like, This Week Unfinished. Like, I didn't know why she got it for me. She wrote in here about...
Yeah. We got it from our mom.
Yeah, we got it from our mom. She wrote, like, oh, like, I saw this and thought of, like, you and the Bible study. Bible study is also short-lived. I could do a whole podcast on it. It's something we did not finish. Because I'm a time-poor individual, I was like, let me, listen to the audiobook of this.
Okay.
And it was such a turnoff. It's the audiobook is authored by the author.
Okay.
Cole Arthur Riley. And she, do you know who Nara Smith is?
No.
Nara Smith is, like, this trad wife, like, TikTok person who, like, talks, like, they just talk like, let me try to think of something to say so I can do an impression. I'll just read to you as.
Okay. Oh, no.
God of the street, you know by heart. I know these steps. They're etched with memories, reminding me I am made of story. It's just, to me, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
The words are more powerful if you read it in a normal voice. You trying to make this, you trying to make this sound like a prayer, like it's making me so like turned off. And
I'm so sorry.
I did that before I really like got into the meat of the book, and I could not recover. Like I also,
it's done.
The text of this book, this is an audio podcast, but it's gold. Which is not kind on the eyes, I will say.
It's not kind on the eyes. Yeah. I don't know what publicist was like, you know what would be good?
Yeah.
Unreadable text.
I don't know how they made it past. I bought the book on Kindle. I'm sorry to be spoiling that, but much easier to read.
Real.
Yeah. In terms of the content, I think it's good, but I don't know that it's speaking to me in particular. But that's just more of a me thing. I just...
For sure.
Yeah.
I think, it definitely just came to me at a time where I feel like it just came to me at the perfect time, in the perfect format. You know, sometimes shit just happens like that. Dare I say it? God at work? Okay.
Acting through our mother?
All right. Well, this has been great. So, I think quitting Catholicism overall, good for me. But, spirituality came right back. And, we'll see. We'll see how long it lasts in the spirit of everything on this podcast.
Wait, so, sorry.
Go ahead.
I feel like I have an unanswered question about your... When you were a proclaimed atheist...
Yes.
I guess this idea of flipping back between, like, I believe in God, I don't. Did you, when you said you're atheist, you didn't believe in God whatsoever, or you, like, because I feel like I feel conceptually a big thing to, like, pick up and drop and then pick back up.
You don't know me like that, then. I can pick up and drop a lot of things. But I do think that... Even now, my current higher power, I don't think is God as an entity, like as a human-like figure.
No. Yeah.
It is a power greater than myself. And I think, like, even when I was an atheist, or like maybe I still am, I'm not sure, but I didn't drop that idea. But I think so, as an atheist, it's like, all that we can... As an atheist, there is only that which is in the material world, like that which we can see and touch. And, stuff that we can't see and touch, of course, because, like, can't see an atom and shit.
Yeah.
But, like, there is only this, and, like... anything outside of that, like, maybe you can believe in it, but we just, like, we're going to disagree. Like, there, a Muslim person is going to believe one thing and a Catholic person is going to believe another. And there's literally nothing we can do about that. Like, we can't prove it because it exists beyond the world that we live in. And so, to me, it's kind of like, well, I go easily to, like, religion has been used to, like, explain away the things that we just can't physically understand as humans. Mm-hmm. And now I'm realizing that spirituality, it does that. But that's because we need it.
Yeah,
we need something that can help us. We still need it. Even today, with all of the science that we know and understand, and knowing that we don't know and understand so much, we still need spirituality because this shit is too much. It's too much, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like how I wasn't like an asshole atheist. Like, I think what it was is like, I know other people need religion, so I'm not going to be an asshole about that. But it turns out I need religion. It turns out, like, I'm not above it. I'm not above it. Like, I need something to help ground me in the reality that sucks ass.
Yeah.
So,
because and again, no judgment, because I think atheism is its own belief, but I think atheism is a bit arrogant. Like, it's this the hardcore, like, it's like you think that, like, the human is the highest form of, like, intelligence and control in this society, you know? Or, like, this science that, like, it's like there's so much to it that we don't know, that, like, I feel like then the science is the higher power. Like, but something, like, I think there has to be an acknowledgement of, like, there are forces, like, greater forces at play. That, like, I feel like is missing from a lot of, like, atheist critique of spirituality.
And I think, the kind of atheist that I was, it's not that I don't think that, you know, I know everything or that humans know everything. It's just that, like, of course we don't know anything, but everything can be known at some point in the future. Like, there's nothing that's unknowable. And the people that, like, embrace unknowability to a fault is who I, like, religion's so easy. It's like, well, we'll never know. So I guess you just have to believe in God and submit to this and that. And that part I take such issue with, because it's like, you're relegating this to being forever unknown because you want to control somebody in some shape or form. And I reject that.
Yeah.
But I'm realizing that spirituality doesn't have to do that. And I'm connecting with that now. And it is arrogant. It is arrogant. I think that's another word for it. I have had a lot of struggles with one of my friends who's, like, practicing, like, different African spirituality. And, like, it kind of is like, oh, so the people who won the Haitian Revolution knew nothing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, there is just so much that I don't know as an individual. And I am willing to admit that and, like, submit to that, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, people have been practicing for thousands and thousands of years. And we're still here. So let me not suggest that they don't know anything or are so primitive or, you know. I don't think I really thought that, but it comes off that way. And I think there is, like, a small element of that I'm willing to release.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the same thing about, like, astrology. Like, who am I to say that that's fake, you know? The stars are there. And you know,
stars are there.
They have patterns the same way that anything else has patterns. At least that's based on, I mean, not at least that's based on something. But I'm like, you know, like, that isn't a currently observable thing. Versus where we're believing in some text that was written 2,000 years ago. That's the other thing. Sorry, not too much on Jesus.
Yeah.
But if someone left somewhere and told you they were coming back, how long would you give them before you're like, they're not coming back? 2 hours. We waited 2,000 years for this man. You know? I think we might be living in hell.
Yeah. Okay, but back to what I was saying. This is the thing I hate about astrology is the same thing I hate about religion. It's like how far people take it and how ridiculous it gets. Like, okay, like, maybe, yes, I don't understand the stars. We're all stardust, of course. But, like, the girl writing the articles for The Cut, she is not an astrologer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not just going to believe her.
She is the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you know? Like, she is.
Right. And do I love reading The Cut astrology, Madame Clairvoyant or whatever? Of course. But, like, I don't know. It's just, like, it's the blood and the wine. Like, it's just wine, babes.
And this is why I'm like, this is hypocritical. We had a whole podcast episode about it. But I think spirituality is so personal. Even though I think religion, the difference between spirituality and religion is, like, spirituality is personal. Religion is about a group of people, whether or not that's, like, politically, like, you know. But I think, like, you have to take what you need from it, because otherwise it becomes so much about control.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Should we do This Week Unfinished?
Sure. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Yeah.
For those of you who are just tuning in, This Week Unfinished is a segment that we do about something that we started this week but haven't quite finished. Whether it means we, like, are not intending to finish, or, like, it's something that's still ongoing. It's neither here nor there. You can go first.
Okay. I have a random one. I had to finish taking off my acrylic nails. It's been a very tough week for me and my nails. Okay, so context. I just became a new nails girly recently at my big age of 29. And I've gotten maybe like 5 sets in my life. Maybe 5 to 10 now, right? And like, I never tried to do the soak off by myself because it just seemed too tough for me. It's been tough for me. So also I had nails I got like a month ago and they were growing out so much, the little forehead was popping out and stuff. And then my nails started breaking underneath them and like bleeding and bruising and stuff. And I was like, it's time for me to take them off, but like I can't afford to go to the nail salon right now. Okay. So I was like, I'll just wait it out. But like finally it was getting so bad that I was like, I'm just going to do it by myself. I'm going to YouTube it. I'm going to ask my friends. And then I did it and it took longer than I thought. And then I didn't have time to finish. It's just been it's been a lot. Mm-hmm. So I am not finished taking off this, like, why does it take so long? And it was like so painful because my nails underneath are fucked. And then I'm also realizing nails serve like a purpose for real because like the skin here is so sensitive and there's no nail to protect it anymore. And I'm just having a really hard time.
Damn. Ew.
I know. It makes nails seem nasty and it's not supposed to be this hard. I'm just not performing my gender very well.
Okay. I hate that. I hate it all of it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wish you picked something else, but what do I have not finished?
Can I change mine?
Huh? Yeah.
Can I change mine?
I will give that to you. Cut. cut that.
Mine is I need to finish furnishing my new apartment.
Yeah. That's what I thought you'd say. It was crazy the direction you took that initially. Oh, okay.
This is a podcast. I just moved into a new apartment. It's my own apartment in New York City. Very impressed with myself for pulling this off. But yeah, I have very little furniture. Things are still a bit echoey because it's very empty. But yeah, I'm excited. I just need like a coffee table. I ordered a rug. So maybe I'll be filming in my living room for the next podcast.
Nice. I'll send you a housewarming gift if you send me your address.
Okay. Sounds good.
If you have a wish list, that also works.
I do. I would love that.
This week unfinished. I have a lot to do. Cleaning wise.
Real.
I've worked maybe like 80 hours.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Like it's been
serious,
crazy.
Haji?
Because I've also had to work on the weekend.
Insane.
So I have not had time to like really get stuff settled. And then I had something. Let me just talk about this TV show.
Okay.
I started watching a show called High Potential on Hulu. And it's a procedural crime drama with Dee, Caitlin Olsen from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I like it so far. I just like shows that are a bit formulaic, but like interesting enough each episode to keep me going. And this is really like ticking all those boxes.
Nice. That's dope.
So that I have not finished, but I am watching.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
all I got.
Well, this has been the You Gonna Finish That podcast. My name is Adji.
And I'm Zila.
And remember, if something isn't serving you, you don't have to finish that. And if it is serving you and you just don't want to, you don't have to finish that either. Thanks for tuning in. You can connect with us on whatever social media is left at You Gonna Finish That Pod. And we'll catch you next week, maybe.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.